Well, let's continue with this guy. Um, I think I would like to... I've been using a round brush. The hairs are a bit worn down, but it's been doing okay. What is this? This is a number 8. We're going to go over to number 8 flat. A little more bendable, a little softer. I'm going to grab some ultramarine blue here and a little bit of alizarin crimson. I'm mixing it right into what remains of the pile that I used to paint this area, which was cobalt blue, raw umber, a bit of white, and I'm going to put in a little bit of linseed oil too. So I'm just kind of, I'm going to paint the entire sky. Then I'm going to go back into the sky and make some small changes. I think small, I hope small. Well, I don't always think small, but you know what I mean. I also thought that I would cut this blue down into here a little bit. Sweeping up and then dropping again. We have this a little bit, I'll oppose it a little bit with the clouds. We'll see once we're done with that if that was a very good idea or not. It's quite dark. Maybe that's not so bad. Okay, no, won't vary the values too much as I'm painting it in. More or less, blocking in the colors is what we're up to. But we're blocking them in, very closely to what they'll end up being. A bit of a strong shot of alizarin crimson showed up there. Sometimes I'll use my second hand as a maul stick, but as you can see, it's a floating maul stick. It still helps. It still helps to steady though. Still helps to steady the hand a little bit. Okay, that's all right. Now let's go back here a little bit. I should mix that a little more thoroughly. Of course, because I'm dipping into linseed oil with my brush, paint's going on quite thinly. Which, number one, buys me time. Buys me time because it slows down the drying of the paint. Number two, because it's so thin, it allows me to paint over it again. If there are issues, once it has dried a little bit, it's very easy because there aren't so many ridges. Okay, let's go a little deeper blue now. as we work our way up. I guess I don't need to follow the direction of the strokes here. Up here, I'll just bring them across a little bit. Oh, maybe just go a little more multi-directional and not think about it. Not worry about it. A few value changes here and there, that's fine. I don't mind that. Okay. I don't want to go too low in the values. I don't want the top of the painting to start feeling heavy. I don't want strength up here to compete with strength down here. Sometimes I like this idea, just changing value slightly here. Same colors, just less white, because it gives the sky a sense of depth, maybe not so much definition of the distant shapes, but in the upper atmosphere there are varying degrees of moisture, and yeah, you see that. So I'm going to leave that there for the moment. In a couple of minutes, once I have the top of this, once we've got the painting covered up to the top, then we'll have a little stand back and look at it, and then decide where we want to go from there. I continually, even though I'm going darker and slightly bluer, I'm still adding a little bit of alizarin crimson. Because if I were to go to just straight ultramarine blue, my goodness, we would have a shock of high chroma. Low value, but high chroma right at the top of the painting. And this is not the painting to do that with, I believe. That's the feeling I'm getting about it anyway. And a little bit of jump there. Okay, let's just stand up and have a look at that. Okay, I think that's maybe not too bad an idea to have a little bit of this going on, but I'll weaken it over here a little bit, I think. I'll dilute it. And I'll give a hint of it maybe over to this side as well, a little bit. How is that? Okay, maybe I'll just leave it for now. Leave it alone for now. Okay, we'll hop back onto this closer bunch of clouds and do a little bit of work there. But first I'm going to get rid of all of my ultramarine blue. And the alizarin crimson, I'm going to take it off my palette. Go with a fresh pile of color. Give my brushes a wipe. Okay. Back to some blue, cobalt blue, and raw umber. Not as much cobalt blue now. A little more raw umber. It's fairly dark. I think I'll add a little more white to it. Not putting in much linseed oil right now, and I'm using the flat brush because of its controllability. Well, you can control the round brush too, but sometimes I just like the look of this a little bit better. A little more white, a little more raw umber. Try to give them a little bit of depth and keep the junk off the palette, or off the canvas rather. Give the brush a spin where it seems appropriate. Okay, so as you can see, I've pretty much painted in this bottom, but now I'm going over it, warming it up slightly in places. to touch that with a little bit of yellow ochre. Alright, I think that's looking okay. We're heading in the right direction with our colors. Raw umber white, hint of yellow ochre, hint of cobalt blue. Again, except for the white, it's the raw umber that is dictating the general feel of it. That's sort of the main color. I want to be careful how I use it. Excuse me. Need a bit of a light touch now. I don't want that too dark right there. Now, I don't know if you can notice this on camera, but this brush stroke is not the same color as these or these. They're all varying a little bit in value and slightly in color. And you want that. That, you know, it's almost, for the viewer later on, it will be almost a subconscious thing, but it does aid in giving some richness to the painting. If you mix a big pile of one color on your palette, then you're so tempted to just keep going with that same color. And on a huge painting, well, then that's beneficial. It's just more of an efficient way of doing things, but this is not a big painting. Okay, well, we'll stand back and another look at it. I don't want that sky to draw too much attention to itself. I might... Do I want this down that far? I'm not sure that I do. I'm not sure that I do. Okay, back to our cobalt and our raw umber. A little less white. Let's blot that out. Let's just go in with our lower value again here. Just allows me to reassert some shapes. Reassert, redefine, I guess. Okay. Add a little bit of titanium white to that. Oops, whoops, 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 whoops. It's a little too late. You know what I might be doing now? I might just be fiddling and fixating and worrying and thinking too much about it. Somebody slap my wrist and tell me to stop. Okay. So it's kind of blue on blue. But it's a gray, greenish, cobalt blue against, ultramarine, alizarin crimson. A little warmer, blue, really going quite purple-ish, or beginning to go purple. Why don't we leave our sky right there? There's enough going on. It's interesting enough. It's not overly colorful. But, and I can go back in after painting this. If this becomes too overwhelmingly intense, I can always take it up a notch in the sky, with a few strokes. But I think for now, we'll leave it where it sits and start working on this foreground stuff.